Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today as we pull back the curtain and take an inside look at the only industry-specific CRM solution for lubricant marketers, Ledgeview's CRM for oil and gas, powered by Microsoft Dynamics 365. I'm Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Ledgeview Partners. And for those who may be unfamiliar with Ledgeview, we're a business and technology consulting company who partners with organizations to transform their sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes that are supported by core technologies, including customer relationship management and marketing automation. But for our group here today, oil and gas lubricant marketers, Ledgeview is the industry leader and has created the only vertical CRM solution for your industry, a solution you're going to see here today. But before we get into the core of today's webinar and demonstration, I have just a couple of standard housekeeping items to cover. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to access the demo on demand. Now, if you haven't already, please add @ledgeviewpartners.com to your safe senders list. This ensures that you receive our emails. And if you happen to find one in a clunk, jutter, or your spam folder, please mark us as a safe sender. Now, we encourage you to share any of our resources within your company and also refer us to other lubricant marketers you may know. Now, to ensure the best audio quality, we have everyone on listen-only mode. But if you have a question or comment, and we really encourage those, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. We will make sure we follow up with you after the webinar is complete. Now that those housekeeping items are out of the way, I want to welcome today's presenter, Steve Raybrock from Ledgeview Partners. Now, Steve holds a few titles: Senior Product Consultant, Managing Consultant, and really all-around great guy. But the thing that really sets Steve apart, besides his passion for the CRM for oil and gas solution, is that he is the one that kicks off every project and will be at your facility in person to make sure CRM is a success for you. Now, personally, I always look forward to these demos and love seeing all the amazing tools that Ledgeview's created for lubricant marketers out of the box. So, Steve, I'm going to stop talking and let you take over.
Okay, thank you, Chad. Let's get right into our agenda for today. It's kind of a brief one. I'm going to spend a little bit of time, probably about 10 minutes. I'll try to keep it to 10 minutes, just reviewing many of the features in CRM, just so you're aware of them. And then I want to spend most of the time actually demonstrating many of those features. I just don't have enough time to demonstrate every single thing, but I do want to touch on them at least verbally. So a little bit of talking, a lot of demonstration, and hopefully I can wrap this up in maybe 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less. Let's see how we can do here. So some of the things we'll cover today, some of the things I want to talk about, you'll see me using navigation throughout. So you'll just, as I'm demonstrating, you'll watch me navigate. One big feature that it's kind of hard to demonstrate the feature itself, you just see the results, is this concept of data integration. One of the things that we find from working with our customers is there's a lot of good information in their accounting system or their back office, yet the folks who use CRM don't have access to that system. So let's pull that data out of that accounting system and get it into CRM, into a nice user-friendly format for all the CRM users. The other reason we want to do this is this data integration is I'm a big believer in one version of the truth. So the last thing I want is an account or a customer in your accounting system to look different than the customer or the account that's set up in CRM, right? They should both be the same. They should have the same address. The name should be spelled the same. So that's another big benefit of data integration. So some of the files that we really require to make our system tick the best is, for sure, you want to integrate your accounts, which are your customers, the products you sell, and then what we call order history, but it's really your invoice data. If we can get these three files into CRM, we're just going to add a ton of value to the CRM user. Optionally, if you have some generic price lists that you want to bring over, we have the capabilities for that. If there's any important notes in your accounting system, those can come over. Recently, probably within the last 2 years, we added these last two from feedback from our customers. Their accounting system, usually they have a perpetual inventory. We know how much we have on hand at all of our warehouses of our products. Let's bring that over to CRM so I can easily see the balances on hand of the products I have at each warehouse. And then if any customer is set up with special pricing, boy, to be able to pull up a customer, hit a button and see all the products they buy from me, and if they bought it today, what would their price be? Again, I don't have to go to the accounting system for that. I have it all right in CRM. The other thing that I'm going to try to spend a lot of time covering is this concept of data visualization. I use this term, interacting with your data. So there's all kinds of data in the system, but let's bring it to life and make it powerful. Let's use charts, dashboards, reports, give you the tools that if you have a question, there's just an easy way to probe into the system to get the answer you need. So hopefully you'll see all of that when I get to the demonstration piece. So some of the features specifically, all CRMs pretty much have a way to process leads, manage accounts, contacts, and opportunities. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on just the basics, but just know that our system obviously handles this. We have done a ton of customization on accounts, so you'll see I spend a lot of time there, and opportunities as well. So I'm going to spend more time there as well. Estimated days between orders is a feature to allow CRM to keep track of when a customer purchased last, how often they order, and is there a red flag going on here? Did I potentially lose a customer? So there's a little bit of setup. But once you're done with that, the system will kind of keep an eye on things for you, and you'll know if you potentially lost a customer, hopefully before it's too late. Suggestive sell is just a nice feature to help open up some possibilities for some potential business, some potential share of wallet opportunities. So I'll talk more about that. I'll demonstrate that one for sure. Way to keep track of your competitor information and how much of your customer's wallet they have to hopefully let you go after that share of wallet. I mentioned up above, I do want to spend some time on the opportunity sales process. We'll talk about that. I'll also bring up a quick quote. We do have a quote feature, so if you want to generate a nice quote to, email or present to your customer, you can use CRM for that. All right, I'm a big believer in what gets measured gets done, so we have a feature to allow you to set goals. So check, we've got goals. We're tied into your back office, so we have actuals. So now we have lots of reports and lots of dashboards to let you compare gap to goal. Goal to actual. And then now that you have that, we took it one step further to have this gap to goal feature. So what this is going to do is really look at all your goals, look at your actuals, analyze your pipeline, analyze your win rates, do all kinds of analysis, and be able to very easily show you on a daily basis how many opportunities do I need to create by the end of the year to hit my goal. Right? So this is going to be a great tool for not only the individual, but also for a manager when he's coaching his team. Right? We have all this data. Let the system scrunch it for you and give you some good results. All right. Many CRM systems have activities and notes. I'll touch on that briefly if I have time toward the end. But really, notes, obviously people know what notes are. You can enter notes, but that's also a great place to attach documents. So if you had a lease agreement, if you had a credit app, if you had a picture of a station, a picture of a piece of equipment you wanted stored in CRM, notes is a great place for that. Activities are really nice to keep track of the things that you've done for a customer and then the things that you promised to do, either for yourself or for a customer. So it's a great reminder tool as well. We have a way to keep track of your equipment. We get a lot of requests, a lot of feedback from companies who have a lot of loaned tanks out there. Where are they? Who has them? How long have they had them? Are they still putting our product in those tanks? So a nice feature there we'll touch on. Not going to spend too much time on this, but we do have a fuel price notification. A lot of our customers sell fuel, and therefore they want to get their price out to a lot of their customers and prospects on a daily basis. So we have a feature. It's fairly straightforward. You enter a base price, you can set up margins or markups per product per customer, and you basically enter a base prices each day, hit a button, and the system blasts out a bunch of emails. We've got a territory management tool to plot your accounts on a map to maybe help you plan your day or plan your week a little bit more efficiently. And then mobile, very important in today's world. A lot of what a salesperson needs to do, their job, they want to be able to do that out in the field. So, most people have smartphones, right? So let's download the app. You can't do everything, but we pulled our customers and the things that a salesperson needs to do. Pull up an account, look at order history, update contacts, add activities, manage my opportunities, my leads, all that stuff you can do right on a mobile device. All right. So a lot of talking. Let's get into CRM and do some of this stuff. So I left off right here in our CRM. I'm looking at a list of accounts, and I am just going to start out by just pulling up one customer that I was looking at before. So I'm going to take a little shortcut to my recently viewed and pull up this account. So we're going to let that load. I'm going to take a breath. So one of the things you might notice is a lot of the fields on here have this little lock next to it. This is where I was mentioning before about one version of the truth. So this particular account is not a prospect. If it was a prospect account, really it wouldn't have anything to do with your accounting system. Therefore, everything is basically fair game. But this account has a customer number, they're buying from us, they're in their accounting system. So we're connected. The accounting system and CRM are connected. So I am not going to let you change any of these fields. If you found out that Fairview Manufacturing, really isn't in this industry, fix that in your accounting system, and then that data every night will be sent over to CRM, and then it will get corrected here. I want it corrected at the source, so we have clean data all around. All right. So beyond that, let's just talk about some of the things that are on this screen. So basic account information, address information is down a little bit further. Nothing really special here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's that fuel notification area where you can set up products and blast emails to customers with fuel price information. There's credit information associated with the account. All of this would have come from your accounting system if you have it. Optionally, we let our customers send over up to $10 amounts, and it can be any dollar amount you want. So this is part of our data integration. In this particular example, we care about how much the customer owes us and how much is past due and how many dollars they have on order and when their last payment was and how much that last payment was. So all configurable, really whatever dollar figures you want sent over to CRM that you think would be of value, we'll put that there. Managing contacts. I'm not going to get into this, but obviously just a list of the people that you deal with at this company. So it's very easy to just hit this plus sign to add one. You can inactivate a contact. You can pull them up and change their email address. All that very, very basic CRM stuff. So over on the right is where we start getting into some of the power. So we're tied into your accounting system. We have your invoice data. So this is a quick snapshot of the last 12 months summarized by the products this customer purchased, showing us the product they purchased the most of down to the product they purchased the least of. So a nice 12-month summary showing volume, revenue, gross profit, profit per unit, so you know how much you're making for each, in most cases, gallons you sell. And then when's the last time they ordered that specific product. So just a nice snapshot. As I scroll down just a little bit further, things like activities, which I touched on, and I might have time at the end to touch on that later, but these are all my open activities for this account. If I have any opportunities for the customer, they would be listed right here. If I have any quotes that I'm doing for the account, you'll see that a lot of things revolve around the account, right? So we tried making it so easy because most folks start at the account level. And then I'll touch on share a wallet and notes a little bit later. So kind of getting back to this concept of order history, if I'm looking at this 12-month summary and I want to see the detail, just 2 clicks away, so I click this little arrow here, I can go directly to order history, which is basically, think of it as every line item on every invoice for Fairview Manufacturing sorted by the most recent transaction going backwards. So this would come right from your accounting system. So it looks like back on January 31st, 2019, the customer purchased a couple products from us. These are the products they purchased, the price they paid, what our cost was, how many they bought, how much revenue it produced, how much gross profit it produced, and then how much did we make per unit, and in most cases, again, per gallon, so profit per unit. And I can scroll backwards in time and just kind of look at what this customer's been buying at a very, very detailed level. All right, I am going to jump back to the main screen here, and you can kind of sense I'm kind of a data freak, but some people are a little bit more visual. So we also take that order history data, and there's a couple of charts here, but I'm just going to click on one here. This is a way to take that order history data and look at it a little bit more graphically. So what this does is it gives me the ability to analyze gross profit, which is the default. I could also look at revenue or volume units. And what it's doing here is it's comparing gross profit, how am I doing so far year to date compared to the same time period last year to date. Obviously, early on in your fiscal year, this isn't going to tell you very much. So over on the right, we show you the most recent 12 months compared to the prior 12 months. And then we break those charts down by what we call product segments. You might call them product group, product line, product category. Just how do you group your products, right? Things like antifreeze or coolant, diesel, gas, grease, heavy duty, industrial oil. And again, this is just comparing, in this case, year to date for each product segment. So that's that. All right, I am going to jump back to the main form. A couple other features I wanted to point out here while I'm here. Here's this estimated days between orders that I talked about. So how does this work? So as a user of CRM, access to all this information, I could pull up the order history for this account and kind of get a sense that, hey, this customer orders every maybe 2.5, every 3 weeks. So based on that, when would I think I might have a problem? Right? So I would manually go in here, and I only have to do this once, and say this customer, if they ever go, more than 25 days between orders, that would be alarming to me. I would want to know about that. I might want to reach out to them to find out what's going on, yada, yada, yada. So if I do that for my accounts, and each account can have a different number here, right? Then once a day or once a week, that's all you need to do is go into a different area, which we call the dashboard area. So I'm just going to do this so we can see that account. And I'm just going to jump into, we have lots of dashboards. I'm going to cover them a little bit later. But I'm going to go into the dashboard 12, which is my accounts that are past the estimated order days. And hopefully this is going to do some analysis and say, hey, here's Fairview Manufacturing. They're supposed to order every 25 days. Well, based on the data, they're 121 days past that, right? We probably lost this account, right? If I would have been checking this every couple days, right, I would have saw when this went 1 day over and 2 days over and probably taken some action. So if you use that feature, you'll just be in the habit of, like I said, once or twice a week, you'll be in CRM, just pull up dashboard 12 and see how things are going. From a company perspective, if I'm a sales manager or an owner, I can just uncheck this box, and instead of just limiting it to one person's accounts, it's going to show you all the accounts that you have access to that are past their estimated days between orders. All right. So really powerful feature, super easy to use. Probably an hour or two, you could probably go through your book of business and set up those estimated days, and then the system does the rest. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you at the account level, and I think this is going to be the last thing I'm going to show you, is this concept of suggestive sell. So it's a little bit tricky to explain. So I'm going to actually I'm on an account. I'm going to hit this suggestive sell button and let the system do a little work for me. And I'm going to tell you what it just did. So this button went back and looked at what this customer's been buying at the product segment level. So it looks to see what product segments are they buying from? So then it's going to know what they haven't been buying from us. Then it's going to look to a little matrix that you would set up. Again, it's a one-time setup, takes most folks less than an hour, and it's basically a relationship that you know exists between product segments. And what it goes like this: if a customer buys X, they usually buy Y. So if a customer buys PCMO, he usually buys stuff for my automotive line, or he usually buys coolant, or he usually buys whatever. So you just build that matrix, and now the system has enough data to say, based on all that information, you should probably talk to Fairview Manufacturing about products in your automotive line and products in your additives line. Again, that's all based on the data. So that might just trigger a conversation you could have with the customer, right? A potential opportunity. And in the case of additives, maybe I've talked to them and I find out they don't even sell additives. So I can put a little note in here. I can put a date to maybe when maybe I want to ask them again, talk to them again about it. But every time I hit that button on this account, this note, this little reminder basically is going to be there for me, so I don't keep having the same conversation. So super powerful tool, and almost no work for you, the user. Just can add value and help you become more efficient. All right, so that is a ton of features already, and we're just going to separate now from accounts and move forward over to opportunities. So one way to look at your opportunities is just to go into opportunities. And basically this would be my pipeline. It's my open opportunities. I could change this view if I wanted to. If I was a manager, I could change it to, hey, show me all the open opportunities. And then I would have this big list, and I could sort the list. I could filter on the list. I can do whatever I want with all of this data. We're going to do that a little bit more in detail when we're looking at this data via a chart. So let's just pull up an opportunity here. Let's see if I can find a good one. How about this one? Seems this one's in. Let's go right over here to something that's in sales stage 1. So it's early on in the sales process. So this is pulling up an opportunity, and I'll just point out a couple of the things that are kind of important. So one of the things that we kind of ask in our system is, what department is this for? Obviously, when you're working an opportunity, you want a customer to buy maybe all of your departments, but really, what is your focus? Maybe you're going to be presenting some of your lubricant stuff, or if you have fuel, or if you have propane, or whatever. We're going to set up the system based on departments. You can also enter a brand that you want to push. So I could easily enter a brand, entering an opportunity type. So we have a couple fields there. Just basic information here about the opportunity, description. I could enter a competitor if I knew who I was competing with. But to me, here's the guts of it right here. How much do I think this opportunity is worth? Whether you care about revenue, gross profit, or volume, you'd want to enter that. If you want to enter a status comment to help communicate to others, like where are we kind of at in the process? Do I have any roadblocks? Just kind of what's going on. And then what's really important is, when do I think I'm going to close this deal? So I can easily enter an estimated close date. All right. So that's an opportunity. This is how a user would manage like an opportunity. And then I should just maybe quick save this, make sure I have all the required fields filled in. So I'm good there. I could have saved it down here. There's also a save button up here as well. So we want users to really spend as little time as possible in here, because we want them out, working the opportunity in the real world. But we want the system to kind of mirror what's happening in the real world. So again, as they are working this opportunity, they'll probably, get a better idea on how big big a deal it is, so they can keep this updated. But really, where am I at in the sales process? And you start out very early in the qualify stage, but when you start meeting with the customer, you just answer one question. Yes, I've had first appointment, I'm meeting with them. So all you got to do is answer that question and hit next stage. And what it's going to do is it's going to take this little flag and move it over to the second stage in our sales process, which we call needs and solutions. So I'm basically just working with the customer, understanding their needs, probably putting together a proposal of some kind, and when I'm ready to do a presentation, Basically, I've got my quote, I've got my presentation ready, answer one question, go to next stage. So that's how simple it is to, allow CRM to match what's happening in the real world. You could just keep advancing this and finally, hopefully, closing this as a win. If you ever lose one, you would just close this as a loss. So that's how simple opportunity management is from a single opportunity. There's easy ways to create opportunities as well, right? You can create an opportunity from a lead, or you can create an opportunity right from the account. You could just hit a little plus sign and start from scratch and create an opportunity to work. So that's opportunities. Just kind of checking the clock here. I think I'm a little bit behind. I'm going to try to pick it up a little bit. I'm just going to jump over to quotes. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on quotes. I mentioned that we had quotes, so I thought I would at least pull one up and show you one. So I just went into quotes, and I'm just going to pull this one up. Quotes are very data-driven, and a lot of the information is going to come from the account and from the opportunity. So a lot of stuff that's filled in here I really didn't have to do. You can optionally, besides your logo printing on the quote, you could have a supplier logo print on the quote. You can enter some stuff, and that'll just type in some data. That'll print toward the top of the quote. That's what I typed here. We've got a way to save a little bit of typing if you're constantly entering the same information on a lot of quotes. You can save this text in what we call a scope of work. And then when you go to create a quote, you can just pick one and boom, it'll pull up that information for you to print on the quote. You don't have to type it every time. And then basically I'm just looking up products and setting prices to put on my quote. And when I'm all done, I would have saved all that. And then I can just go up here and say, look, I want to see how that's going to look if I go to print it. And what this is going to do is take all that data and make a visual, if you will, what that would look like. So it would have your logo, a supplier logo only if you wanted it to, quote number, quote information about the customer, information about the salesperson, right? If I'm giving this to a customer, I want them to have lots of ways to get back to me. And then really just, list of products and prices, right? You want them to buy from you and you want them to buy from you forever. So here's basically a glorified price list. Here's a quote. We do have the option. I don't have an example here today. I'm not going to spend time on that. But if you actually wanted to enter quantities and have extended values for some reason, you could do that as well. But most folks just want to set a price and hopefully they just buy this stuff from you, forever. So that's quotes. And then you saw a draft watermark on there. There's a process you go through. Once you're happy with how the quote looks, you would activate the quote, and then it would get rid of that draft watermark and kind of lock that quote. And if I wanted to revise it, I would hit a revise button, and then it would change the revision number. It actually makes a copy of it, and then you have a history of your quotes. All right. Now for some more dashboards. So I'm going to go into the workplace area and dashboards and just pull up a couple dashboards. We have lots of dashboards that manage opportunities, probably a dozen of them. So I could analyze gross profit, revenue, volume, basically just how many opportunities are out in the system right now. We've got some gap to goal charts, some trending, some aged opportunity dashboard. This is a great tool to see, do I have any opportunities that I haven't touched in a while? I think I'll pull that one up right now. So this is just a great way to look at your system to go, how many opportunities do I have that have an estimated close date in the past? Right? This chart should come up blank. I've got some terrible data in my little test environment here. How many opportunities haven't I touched in at least 30 days? Again, this should be pretty close to clean. How many opportunities have been stuck in a stage for over 45 days? So lots of good stuff that pull us up once a week. Hopefully it's a pretty clean dashboard because we want our pipeline clean. So I'll just randomly grab another one here. Let's go to this record count one. This is a pretty simple one to explain, and I can show you some of the power of interacting with the data. So what is this showing me? Open opportunities. So how many open opportunities do I have in CRM? So basically my whole pipeline. And this particular chart is showing me those open opportunities by the month they were created. So why would I want this? this might clue you in on maybe some older opportunities that you might want to clean up. So there you go. That might be a good reason to use this. Here's how many open opportunities do I have by department. Again, these are just made up departments. When we work with you on your CRM, we configure this, we build this to work and feel like your company. So if you only have a lubricants department, right, there'd only be one little bar here. If you have lubricants and fuel, if you have a propane department, if you have DEF, if you have a whole separate department for chemicals or service, right, that's how this is going to look. And then probably more importantly, how many open opportunities does each person have? Right, so we'll touch on that one in a second. And then we look back at the last 12 months. You'll see that kind of theme here, just to give you an idea. We're always looking back at 12 months here. And this is going to look at wins versus losses. So how many wins versus losses did I have by month, by department, and then by person? So let's show you one of the things I talked about interacting with the data. So on a lot of our charts, there's this little button right here. And if I click that, it puts the data next to the chart. So this is where you get into some real power now. So you're looking at a chart and it raises a question. I want you to be able to easily answer that question. Well, okay, it says here, you know, everybody's working all these opportunities. Like Steve has 30 opportunities, right? What in the world is going on here? That's just way too many. What's he working on? So if I click this bar, you'll see the 59 opportunities that are currently in the system gets changed to just the 30 that Steve has, just with one click. So now, you know, if that's a manageable list, I could just kind of scroll through this and go, yeah, these other ones Steve is working on. But maybe there's just too much data here yet, and I'm wondering, well, okay, of all the stuff Steve is working on, show me that graphically, let's say by sales stage. So basically, I just pick another, I want to build another chart. And so now it's going to show me all of Steve's opportunities, the same 30, but now it's broken down by what stage they're in. Okay, Steve has 10 opportunities that are just about to close. What are those? And I can just click on that. And now I'm down to just those 10. So you can see whatever question comes up, you can just keep drilling into the data until you get the answer. So now maybe I have this list. I could just click on a heading. I could sort this list if I wanted to. If I wanted to break it down even further, it looks like they're all lubricant ones. So this is probably a small enough list where I don't need to make another chart over here. So that's that. And you can do that on just about all of our charts. So really cool feature. All right, kind of switching gears. I talked about analyzing your business goal versus actual. So let's jump into another dashboard from a corporate perspective. So we're going to go into what we call our corporate goal scorecard. And by the way, my data says I'm just crushing it this year. So this is looking at gross profit year to date. The blue bar is actual. Those circles on the bottom are the quarterly goals I set. So I am way above my goals. And if you notice when I hover over here, it actually shows me my quarterly goals. And then the little blue box on top shows me, that I am just way ahead of it. I'm just crushing it. So what's cool about this, that's from a company perspective. I can click on this blue bar, and then it's going to drill into this by department. So then I can go, okay, I'm going to go over to lubricants here because fuel is just totally distorting it. Maybe we had a acquisition and the fuel business was great and we didn't adjust our goals. But lubricants looks kind of interesting. So if I hover over that, I'm only about halfway to my goals here. My second quarter goal was at about 98,000 and I'm at 145. So let's just click on lubricants. And then it's going to break it down by what we call product category. And a lot of our customers actually use brand for their product category. So they want to group their data by brand. So how am I doing goal versus actual? In this case, Chevron, my other brands, and my private label. These can be any groupings that you want. So then I could drill into this. And again, it's goal versus actual. Now, how am I doing by product segment? And I'm continuing to drill. So automotive, I'm struggling, right? I'm way behind my goal. If I'm like 6 months into the year, I'm like way behind my automotive goal. So I can do one more drill down here, and now it's going to show me by salesperson. So who's helping me hit my lubricant Chevron automotive goal? If I wanted to go one step further, I could. I don't get a nice chart here, but if I click on, let's say, Steve, it's going to show me all the customers who are helping Steve hit his lubricant Chevron automotive goal. So really nice feature. The other thing, so the actuals you automatically get. If once a year you set goals, you get the circles. So you get all of this. Whether you decide to set goals or not is up to you. I highly recommend it. The other dashboard that's kind of related to this, instead of looking at this data starting out at the company level and drilling down, I can start out looking at this dashboard from a salesperson perspective. So now I just basically line up my sales team, and then I can drill down within that. So maybe I'm going to have a one-on-one meeting with Steve, right? So I can just, if I'm the manager, I can just pull up his data, and now we're going to have a little coaching session. So another great tool. All right, I think the last dashboard I want to look at here is our territory management. I'll do this one real quick, and you can tell we have a lot of other dashboards. So territory management. I'm also checking the clock here. Just a couple minutes behind. So this is a way, there's a couple options to plot your accounts on a map. I'll do this kind of quick. I'm just going to say, look, I'm going to be up in the Green Bay area maybe on Friday. So what accounts and leads do I have within 20 miles of Green Bay, Wisconsin? And it's going to plot them for me on a map. So if I'm kind of driving into town from here and going to be in downtown Green Bay, I could just, well, who is this account again? I can just click on it. It shows me who they are. I could actually click on this view record and it would open up the account. Maybe I can call that company and see if they'd be willing to have me, stop by on Friday when I'm heading into the city. If I'm coming in from this area, I have lots of options as I'm driving up to who I'd want to potentially go see. So for folks who've been around a while, right, they know their customers, but if you reallocate your accounts, reassign them to somebody else, or you hire somebody new, if you hire somebody new, plus they're new to your area, a really nice tool, All right, another feature that I touched on, which is really powerful, is that gap to goal analysis. So if you want to do this, you can go into our system, and I recommend you do this. Obviously, you have to set goals. And I also recommend that you do this after you have a little history with your pipeline. So I would never recommend a customer do this probably for at least 6 months, but in most cases, 12 months after you get our system, because you want to have data to make this valuable. But once you have a good, healthy pipeline, you've got some historical data in there, what you can do is you can go in and you can set up what you want the system to analyze for you every night, or if you only want to do it every week, what's going to happen is if I do it every night, it's just going to scrunch the data every night, and when I come in, any day really, I'm going to be able to look at how the numbers are looking. So here's just an example of where I said, look, I just want the system to do some gap analysis on my lubricants department. And then I also wanted to do some analysis just on overall how's Steve doing. And then I also wanted to do some analysis on how Steve is doing goal versus actual. How's he going to do to hit his goal? So what's his gap for his lubricant goal? So there's all kinds of combinations you can set up, and then you're done. And then every night, in this case, because I said to do it daily, every night it's going to scrunch data and build a little database for you. So I apologize, I don't have a lot of good data in here, so I'm going to go back and find one because I know I have some good data from a while ago. And the numbers don't even really make sense, but I'm going to sort on this thing here and find some data. The data doesn't really matter for this discussion. I just want to show you kind of the power of this analysis here. So I'm going to find a record. I thought I had one here. By the way, this is all the data that the thing has been building. So I'm just going to I'll just pull up this one right here. Maybe this one right here. So this one is actually just analyzing the lubricants department. So I'm just opening up this record. And these would be sorted by day, so you wouldn't have to go through any of that sorting that I just did. So what is this showing me? Again, I picked an older record. All of these numbers are calculated at night. So this row over here, this column is all about volume. This one's all about gross profit. So I'm just going to look at volume. So what is my year-to-date volume goal for lubricants? What's my average per day? So based on how many days are left in the year, here's the estimated volume I'm going to have for the rest of the year. So here's how much I'm going to get by the end of the year. If I look at what I have for open opportunities based on when I expect them to close, here's my prorated open opportunity volume. Then I'm going to adjust that based on my average win rate. Now I'm going to look at my goal, look at my projected yearly volume based on all them numbers, and tell you what my gap is. So here's the gap. Now wait a minute. How far am I along in hitting my goal? Well, I'm at 56%. Here's what I need to finish the year out. But wait a minute. I only win 24% of my opportunities. So I need to get a ton of volume added to my pipeline. And here's my average deal size, looking back historically. So I need to open, based on the data, I need to open 16 more opportunities to hit my goal. I didn't have to do any of this, but tell the system to analyze. In this case, this is what we need to do across the department to hit our lubricants goal. But again, this could have been Steve's goal, Steve's lubricant goal, and you'll just get all these numbers every morning. So if you can ignore them for a month, right? But now you're going to have a meeting with somebody. You can review this, pull it up on the screen, review the data, and look at the pipeline, and just another great coaching tool. All right. Going to kind of wrap a couple things up here. Equipment tracking, just touching on that. So equipment tracking, there's really three pieces to equipment tracking that we need. One, we need your accounts, which we already have. Two, we need your equipment. So you just go into our system and you just basically enter all your tanks, enter all your equipment, and then you go through and you tie them together. So as an example, I'll just highlight one here. This basically is saying that Fairview Manufacturing has this 200-gallon tank, and we loaned it to them back on February 18th. So I could also, I'm not going to get into the details here, but I could also say that, hey, this customer promised to put in this product in that tank, and they also promised to buy X number of gallons each year. And now we have a dashboard you can look at to see who's not meeting their commitment. The side benefit to doing this is if I'm ever looking at a tank, so I'm just going to do a shortcut and pull up this tank. If I'm ever looking at a specific tank, I can see historically where it's been. This is just that account equipment relationship record that I built. So, I loaned it to this customer for a while, then we rented it to this customer, then it was in storage for many, many years, and finally we loaned it out to Fairview Manufacturing. I could also, I'm going to take a shortcut over to Fairview Manufacturing. If I'm looking at that account, just like I have access to lots of other data from the account screen, if I'm looking at this account, I can just hit this little arrow again and say, hey, show me all the equipment this account either has or has had. So some of these with an end date means we took the equipment back, but they still have this 200-gallon tank. So really nice feature there. While I'm on this account, I'm just going to quick cover notes and activities, just super quick. But down at the very bottom of the screen, there's a section for notes. So I can just click on notes. I can go do and type some stuff if I want. And then after I'm done typing that, I can also do the little paper clip and attach a document. It's a great place to put in your pictures, your credit apps, your ROI calculations if you have a spreadsheet, signatures that are on legal documents, go for it. The other thing we kind of talked about were activities. So I can go into CRM. Let me find the activity section. So this happens to be on the account. I can hit this little plus sign. I could enter a task, something that I just did for a customer. So I could put in information about that task, about something that happened, about something that we did. So I could fill in a little subject, a little description, and then I could just mark this complete, and I would have a history of that. If this is a reminder for me to do something, let's just say I lost an opportunity with this customer, but I wanted to try again a year from now. I could go in here and say, hey, I lost the opportunity because we couldn't deliver to them on Mondays, and that was like a deal breaker. So I'm going to try to go after their business again maybe a year from now. So I give it a due date of a year from now. I would not mark it complete. I would just save it, forget it, and a year from now, this is going to pop up saying, hey, you lost this opportunity a year ago. Maybe you want to go call that customer and see if you want to, create an opportunity and go after that business again. All right. Last thing I want to show you is reports. There's lots and lots of reports, and this is really powerful. I wish I had more time just to spend on reports. So I'm just going to go into reports, and there's two ways to do reports. One, you can run them kind of on the fly, and another way, you can request a report and have it emailed to you, which most people are taking advantage of that. So this is one way to just run a report. We have lots of reports to analyze your accounts, your products, your sales team, your opportunities, trending reports, comparison reports. So I'll just do this ranking report and show you some of the power. So I'm going to skip this first screen and just go to run this report. Again, it's a ranking report, so it's going to ask me, how do you want to rank your reports? And let's say gross profit. So I'm just going to view the report, and I'm going to get a list of accounts, which are customers, with the customer with the highest gross profit down to the least gross profit. And obviously, I have some really weird test data in here, but this is just a nice way to get a list of your best customer down to your worst customer, percentage that they contribute. Here's a running percentage, because we've had customers want to see their top 80%. Well, when you get to 80%, stop reading. Well, my couple big fuel customers are really distorting this report. I only care about my lubricants. That's the power of that screen that I originally skipped. I can go in here and with just a couple clicks, say I only want, in this case, the lubricants department. And this screen takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get used to, but basically you pick the data, we'll run the report. So you can change the time period, you can run this for one person, you can run it for three salespeople, you can run it for a certain product category, certain product segment. The sky's the limit. But you pick the data, we'll run the report. We'll scrunch all the data for you. So here it is. Here's that same report, but it's only looking at lubricant data. Now I get it. Report maybe looks a little bit cleaner. So here's gross profit getting lower. Here's this running percentage. So just this first page of this report, 67% of our company's gross profit for lubricants comes from this one page. So the other way to run the report, and then I'm going to turn this back to Chad, I'm just going to show you real quick, is in dashboards. Some people like this because they think it's a little bit less intimidating than that other screen I just showed you. But we give you the ability to request a report, and there's lots of reports. I'm just going to pull up a couple here real quick. So there's lots of reports, and what happens is I'll pick this same ranking report. It actually shows you all the possibilities. So I have to put in a range of dates, but then from there, I could go right down to the very bottom of this report and say, request a report. Or I could say, I only care about this department. So if I don't check anything in an area, it assumes you want everything. But if I check something before I hit request report, it'll narrow the data down. If I only want a certain product category, product segment. And by the way, all of these would be your product categories, your product segments, your departments. If I wanted to go back up to the account level and say I only care about a certain salesperson, or I only want to analyze a certain industry, right? You can do all of that and then request a report. And when you're done, your email will start firing off, emails to you, because some reports will come in. And I'm just going to fire up a couple here real quick. So I'm just going to slide this one over here. So here's an example of a salesperson growth report. So I picked 2 range of dates. It's a list of my sales team. It looks at gross profit, volume, and profit per unit, the current period, the prior period, how much did they go up or down, and then what was that percentage of growth. Again, same thing with volume and profit per unit. So super powerful. Here's another report that I could run from that dashboard. This is going to have one line per account. It's an account period comparison report. In this case, I compared profit per unit. So again, a list of accounts. in the prior period, how much did they average profit per unit, and how much did they average in the prior period, and how much was the variance? And again, is it a good variance or a bad variance? So again, you probably want to pick a department on this one because fuel might have a whole different profit per unit than lubricants. So another tool you might want to take advantage of. Just a couple more reports I'll show you. Here's a trending report. So I don't have a lot of data in here, but I trend 13 months. I get a list of products. In this case, it's profit per unit. So how much profit per unit did I make on every product for these 13 months? I could easily have had this be volume or gross profit. So this is by product. I think I had another one that was by department. So here's another trending report. So 13 months, this one is looking at volume by department. How much volume did I crank out every month by department for 13 months? I think I had one more. This is just a quick summary report. So I pick how I want the data to be grouped. So I said, run a report and group the data by department, product category, product segment. And it did it. I picked a range of dates. If I kind of scroll down maybe to lubricants, it might make a little bit more sense. So here's my lubricants numbers. Here's within that, I have a Chevron category. Here are those numbers. And within that, these are the product segments: volume, revenue, gross profit, and profit per unit. So it takes seconds to run these. So bring the data to life. Chad, I think I went a couple minutes over. I apologize, but I am ready to fire up that PowerPoint again and turn it back to you.
Wow, Steve, that was a tremendous overview of the CRM for oil and gas solution, and it's always amazing to see what we've put together and that comes out of the box for lubricant marketers. So if anybody has any last minute questions, please put those in your question pane and go to webinar. And as we look to wrap things up today, I want to remind you that Ledgeview Partners has a slew of resources on our website, including nearly 30 ebooks, over 50 infographics, countless on-demand webinars, and also weekly tips from our blog that focus not only on CRM for oil and gas, but on CRM in general and thought leadership topics that cover sales, marketing, customer service. And you can find them all in the resources tab at ledgeviewpartners.com. And if you liked what you saw today, it can only get better with a personalized demo because, believe it or not, Steve really just scratched the surface today on what you can see. So let us show you exactly how CRM can work for your company, for your culture, and for your people firsthand. Contact Steve or any one of us here at Ledgeview Partners to set up your personalized demo today. And that's a wrap for today. Please make sure to fill out the survey after you log out of the webinar and let us know any feedback you have, and we look forward to seeing you on future webinars and hopefully giving you a personalized demo. Thank you very much and have a fantastic day.